It's just, let's just be ready. Yes.
Okay, we, like, good seeing everybody here today, and before we start fiscal court, we have a prayer, and we need to remember the people in our community that's hurting. We need to remember the John family, Mac Johns, which has helped us through a lot of things. You know, his father passed away, and I know there's others. And so we need to remember them as we come together to pray this morning. And with that being said, Jimmy Kent, would you like to pray for us this morning?
Yes, sir. Father, we just come to you this morning. We just open our hearts up to you, our minds. Lord, we pray that you might guide us and lead us in the way you have us to go. Father, I pray that you would just be with these men and women that are leading in our community. Lord, thank you for their service. We thank you for their willingness to be godly people and be guided by you. I pray that you would just direct them in the decisions that we have to make each and every day. But I pray that you just keep your hedge of protection about them. Thank you for blessing us in this community, this county, the city we live in. Thank you for putting us here in blessings that we enjoy living in your place. But I pray that you just go with us and everything be pleasing in your sight. It's these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, let's call the meeting together with the pledge to the American flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is this working, microphone working? I guess it is. Before we get started this morning, I need to kind of amend the agenda. And after Logan Economic Allowance of Development addresses the court, we got a couple more people that's going to want to address the court, and it's Eddie Hanks and Pete Record supposed to be here. So if it's okay with court, we'll amend the agenda including them.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Now, is there any question? If not, let's have roll call.
Davenport.
Yes.
Harper.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Bolden.
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Again, we'd like to welcome everybody to Logan County Fiscal Court now that we're in order. And hope you enjoy your day up here. And I know most of you are county-related employees or got some kind of do some kind of work for the county, but it's good to have everybody here. The first order of business this morning is the minutes from the previous meeting of May the 24th.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the minutes. Now, is there any questions? Okay, not hearing any, let's have roll call.
Davenport.
Yes.
Harper.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Bolden.
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we'll ask the people, Jimmy Kemp and Jim DeCesare to come forward if you would like to address the court this morning.
Let me take this off. All right. Good morning, Judge, members of the court. We appreciate the opportunity to be here. And at the last meeting, I informed you that we were going to come back with a more formal presentation about what we're looking to do with the Industrial Development Authority and LEAD. And with me is the chair of the LEAD board and the ex officio member of the IDA, Jimmy Kent Wilson. Anything you want to add?
Not at this time.
All right, so I'm going to run through this pretty quick. I know the judge said I got about 10 minutes, so I'm not going to.
I said 2.
I can do it in 2 if you need me to. So we'll just run through the proposal real quick and the presentation, I should say. A little bit about Logan County on the first page, and I'm not telling you anything you really don't know on that. I would point out on page 2, there is a map that shows where Logan County is and where Russellville is, and we are approximately within a day's drive of about 70-75% of the nation's population. So we're kind of in a sweet spot for industrial development. On the next page, there's some information about workforce, and I want to point out that there's about 6,000 people leaving the county each and every day to go work somewhere else. And we have about 3,000 people coming in a day, so that's a net loss of about 3,000 residents of Logan County that go work somewhere else. So we have opportunity here to create industrial jobs and other jobs here that will allow the residents of Logan County to stay here and not have to commute as far and not have to worry about his child care as much. So those are some of the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis when we're talking with site selectors from all over the country and really from all over the world when they look at Logan County to move their industry. Now today I want to talk specifically about the Shelton Lane industrial site, industrial park. We have a build-ready site there. The IDA owns the property. What we have been doing is offering the land as an incentive to any prospective client that comes into the area, and we have all the utilities on the site. Right now, the build-ready site has a pad ready of 80,000 square feet, but site selectors are telling us about 100,000 square feet is the minimum now. And so we would like to put 100,000 square foot speculative building on that site that could be expanded as much as to 400,000 square feet. Since I have been with LEED, which would have been July of last year, I believe we've had about 8 or 9 site visits, all looking for a 100,000 square foot building. Everybody is wanting speed to market. In fact, 80% of all clients either want a building that's under construction or one that has just been newly constructed to move into. And I'll use Freihof as an example. There was an article in the Daily News last week or the week before that talked about Freihof moving into a spec building in Warren County, 100,000 square foot facility, and they actually looked at the Shelton Lane site, but because we didn't have a building, they went somewhere where there was a new building and took all those jobs to the adjacent county. On the next page, you'll see that we have all of our utilities on the site or close to it, so that's not an issue. One of the nice things about the Shelton Lane site as well is that it could have a rail spur if needed. It's about 1,000 feet from this R.J. Corman line, and we do have a letter saying we could get the right-of-way to put a spur into that park if needed. We also have a possibility for a spur at the West Industrial Park as well. On the next page, you'll just see sort of some drawings here that kind of show the topography of the site and which site specifically we are talking about. It's the one that's shaded in blue. One of the nice things about this site is that it's approximately 1,000 feet from the 4-lane bypass, and as you know, we're one of only 2 cities in the state that have a complete bypass, so that's always a plus for us. It's already zoned heavy industrial, so we don't have to worry about any zoning issues there. And then there's some pictures on the following pages that show what the proposed building would look like, what the layout would be. You can see on the page that has a layout with the red rectangle, that's an 80,000 square foot building. And then the gray area off to the right would be the additional 20,000 square foot. So we would have to do an additional 20,000 square feet of site work to be ready to build 100,000 square foot. And then you can see some elevations on the following page. We'd like to have about 4 dock doors and 1 drive-through. That's kind of the standard for a 100,000 square foot building that the cabinet looks for and what site selectors look for. Moving on to the possible timeline, from start to finish, we believe it would take about 10 to 12 months, depending on steel delivery and lead times on materials. As I mentioned, it's an 80,000 square foot pad expandable to 100,000 acres, and this particular site has 16.1 acres on it. So talking about the budget details, I've had conversations with 5 different general contractors, and for a 100,000 square foot pre-engineered metal building, just the shell alone, we believe will come in at about $40 a square foot, or approximately $4 million. And we think we can get that done right at that price. This is high-level budget information. Of course, nothing's for sure until you put it on the street and you get numbers from the various trades that show exactly how much things are at that particular time in history. But we are seeing that steel lead times are coming down a little bit. Steel prices are starting to level out, and we think that's a doable time frame. I should note that, you know, in the surrounding counties that are doing speculative buildings, I know in one county in the Brad region, they have a spec building under construction and it's already sold, 100,000 square foot. Christian County has one that's under construction, nearly complete. They're continuing to build these on a regular basis in Warren County, and in Simpson County, they have one going up. It seems like every month, but that's not right. It's about every 6 months or so. They're building one along I-65 there at exit 6. So we have great opportunity here. We're centrally located. We just need a little help in getting this done. And the request is to ask the fiscal court if they would be willing to consider possibly doing a loan or a bond, whichever is feasible. And I believe Mr. Ross has been checking into which avenue might be best for pursuing this, because it is a government entity. It's probably bonds, but I don't know that for sure. We think on a 20-year note, all we would ask for is you cover the debt service until the building is sold, and then the court would be made whole. So it's not like we would need the whole $4 million and you would be on the hook for the whole $4 million. It's just the bond payment or the loan payment on an annual basis. In reality, we're seeing buildings of this size being sold or leased in less than 2 years, all across the region. And I'm talking, when I say the region, not only Kentucky, but the Southeast. And as we know, most of the economic development growth is happening in the southeastern part of the United States for many reasons, mainly because of work ethic, because we're centrally located, and we have a good way of getting goods to consumers more quickly than anybody else. So that's my quick down and dirty presentation in about 4 minutes, and Jimmy Ken will answer any questions.
He'll take the other 6
I'll take the other 6 minutes.
In other words, about every bill's gonna be about 2 acres then.
Yes, sir.
A
Approximately.
little over 2 acres.
Yeah,
About 2.5 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, 43,560 square feet in an acre.
That's right.
And then if you include
Parking lot.
and
Okay.
all that, you're,
It's about a 4 to 1, 5 to 1 acres under roof versus outside of roof to support.
Well, I think y'all have got a good plan.
So would the IDA be I guess the holder of the loan, or are you asking the court to be?
We're asking the court if they would be willing to do that.
Yeah, and Thomas, that may be something that's still got to be worked out.
Yeah.
I know, Mr. Ross and Judge Chick have been looking
But
at
if we
that.
get any money back when it's sold, that's what I'm wondering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All the money back.
You get all your money
They're
back.
saying to make us whole, and then, once the business starts operating, then, that's,
In other words, all we lose is interest.
We don't,
No,
we don't lose nothing.
We wouldn't lose nothing.
Wouldn't lose
yeah,
anything.
no, it would be covered in the sale or the lease.
Oh, okay.
But the benefit is that you expand your tax base with new employees.
And do it again.
Yeah,
Jim,
and
this
do it
is
again.
also in the city of Russell's tax base. Have y'all spoken with them at all about any assistance, or just Walton County?
We haven't talked to
No.
them specifically, no, sir.
Jim, I do have one question. You talked about Warren County and Christian County. Do you know what structure they used on these? Was it similar to this? And with Warren County, would that have been the fiscal court or the city of Bowling Green? Because I know the dynamics in that city somewhat different than ours.
Sure.
With how big of a footprint Bowling Green has.
Great question. All the facilities I mentioned in the other counties are all pre-engineered metal buildings, so they're similar structures. All of them are using different mechanisms for funding their projects. Some of it, like in Warren County, they have a quasi-government agency, kind of like the IDA, that they are able to fund their own buildings, or they were. Now they're having private developers do that. Christian County, their Industrial Development Authority is doing that. And then in Simpson County, they have private developers for the most part that are doing their buildings as well.
So are any of those utilizing, the way I was looking at this is either you all do bonds through us or we co-sign a loan with you. Is anybody using that model that you know of?
Not at this time that I'm aware of. Now, they have in the past. I know Warren County, for instance, when they first started doing this, that's how they got started.
Okay.
And then they were able to start generating enough revenue. And they have a revenue stream in their industrial park as well. They do an additional 1% occupational tax on the employees in that park, and that helps offset the cost of the land and the spec buildings that they did do at that time. So they have a funding stream that we don't have. So, we don't have any revenue streams here. And so that's...
Yeah. So even if the IDA did the loan and had the financial strength to do the loan, the concern is that if it sits here for a year, or it takes 2 years to sell it, then we've got installment payments, to make on that loan, and we don't have enough money outside of our normal budget to make those installment payments.
Well, and I also think that without the better cash flow, it's probably going to be a higher rate for you all, which would make the program more, and that's why you're coming.
Yeah, it could be. So, the financial strength of the county using theirs would be, obviously would drive that interest rate at better, more competitive rate.
So if the project is $4 million, will we sell the project to whoever comes and looks at it for $4 million, or is there a profit to be made for the IDA, or is it?
Typically, we would sell it for what we had in it.
Maybe try to get a little bit if we can.
We can, try to do that,
But the owner will also have to do finish out the building,
Right.
Put the slab in, put
Their
the sprinkler
electrical,
system in, whatever they need
system.
to meet their needs.
So the advantage that this system offers is that basically they have a building that's 3/4 done, and they can get in it sooner than having to build it in its entirety.
I just didn't know if there was any profit for the IDA to
It'd be
get on
minimal.
their feet and start on the next project.
Yeah,
snowball into the next one.
That's a great concept, but it's hard when we're competing with other communities that are
Does other
trading it out.
communities ever give a building like this away to a company?
Not typically, they will give them the land
Yeah.
and have them pay for the building. Now, if there is I can't recall anybody actually just giving the building away.
What's already invested in the build-ready site?
It's about 300 and
320 something?
just that was on improving the site, not counting the land cost.
Or,
The
yeah,
pad.
the pad.
The pad was about 300,000, and that was accomplished through a grant for part of the money, and then it was matched also with the IDA funds.
So I'm definitely on board with it. I would like to, know what route the county needs to go. I guess that's something maybe that Joe has to research.
Place I got to with it would just be finding the feasibility of it, and we could go either route. It would look like with the debt amount we're talking about, we would have to get approval of Department of Local Government for the loans, and they would as well, being a quasi-governmental entity, because anything over 500,000, you've got to get their approval. 200,000, you've got to put them on notice for it. I guess one reason I was asking Jim about Bowling Green and Christian County is it would be nice if I had a model to go from for documents and paperwork, so it might be a little bit of time to figure out how to sort that all out. But to me, the question would seem to be bonds versus the typical loan process, whichever one is more financially beneficial in light of interest rates as they are now. And I think on bonds, it would somewhat come down to any punished or penalties for cashing it in early, because a 20-year bond, if you all are only looking at 3 or 4 years on a project, might be great as long as there's no early payback.
The other thing we gotta work through when we're doing this, if we issue the bonds, if we are the ones borrowing the money,
Yeah.
we don't own the land and there's debt associated with that land. Is an obstacle. It may not be a problem, but I know if I'm doing that as a Joe Blow, it's an obstacle. You know?
Yes.
And so if Tyler was going to borrow money from me to build a building on my property, not only do I own the property, but I own a mortgage on it. You know, and his bank's not going to do that. So that's the only reason I question who's taking the loan out, us or y'all.
I was under the impression they were going to take the loans out, but we were going to co-sign it, and in that regard, we're both
That
in
will
it
take care of
together.
it. Yeah, I see that working, but I don't see it working with just us taking the loan out and say, here's $4 million, go build the building.
And I can tell you that there is precedent set where a government entity has borrowed the money and it was done under a land lease. So that could be an option as well. If we do a land lease to the county, if that's the way it goes, then you could do the loan on the building.
I feel like there is several things that
Yeah,
we do have to
there's
get
a lot of
worked on the
stuff.
finance inside, and some of those things when we get more information back from KCO, and then we'll work those details out.
I guess my thought was it was kind of a partnership, so, and we all know you all don't necessarily have the finances for it, but that was the way I'd envisioned it, you know, we're kind of all in it together on it.
I think we're open to any option as long as it helps us get
We ought to
inventory.
ask the city of Russellville too, especially if we're going to, IDA is going to borrow the money, and we're going through the scenario that it would be a co-sign situation, that in good faith, that it means it's a city and county project, that we both co-sign the note. You know, I mean, I'm not worried about the $300,000 a year that we take to cover that note coming from here. You know, if we can get the city to participate a little bit, that would be nice, but we're talking about $300,000 a year is what it would take.
Well,
Assuming we can get it at 4% still. I don't know if it's doable or not.
their tax base is
Well,
increasing more than ours is. They got 2% occupation, we got 1.75, so I mean, I would think it would be worth it. You know, we should ask
I
them.
know, I was on the IDA board for a number of years, and that was started with a general obligation bond through the county. And of course, they passed that other layer of occupational tax. And also, they required that you paid your employees so much money.
That's right.
You know, I'm talking about to be able to locate in the Trans Park. And I remember they was at the point that Trans Park wasn't taking off like it was supposed to. You know, they had Bowling Green metal forming out there, but they invested a whole lot in their park. You know, curve guttering, you know what I'm talking about also. And went through several lawsuits with several people in that area. And then I think to be able to keep it financed, the city of Bowling Green passed a bond issue.
They did.
That took the county out because the Trans Park was inside the city limits. And I just know that, you know, it struggled there for a while. But we were in a little bit different times, too. You know, who's to say those times might come back? I don't know. You know, if we could all predict that, we'd all be building buildings.
I'm definitely in support of the project. I think that, you know, anytime we can get outside of our, you know, feel like sometimes we got our eggs in just a couple baskets, you know, it's good to kind of more industry we can bring in, the better, and I think it's be great for the future of the county. But I think we got some, things to work out. I'd like to see if, City of Russellville, if there's a way we could co-sign with them, like Thomas said, means that it's in the City of Russellville, and, it also is expanding their tax base, so, I feel like we could have some skin in the game, but, I mean, I'm supportive of it. I just don't know if we're at a point where we're ready to do anything at this point.
There's nothing to vote on.
Nothing,
No,
yeah, I think
no.
it's just if.
This is informational.
If the court, if the court is supportive, then we'll endeavor further and work out some more of those details.
My thought would be, but correct me if you all don't like this, if bonding would be the same or better financially and there were no punishment to paying off, that to me would seem to be the better route to go. Just for there seems like there would be fewer hoops. But if I'm wrong in that, please tell me. I'll kind of look at both of them parallel, trying to get with somebody who's more of an expert on bonding than I am. But would that be a fair place to start with you all and the members of the court?
I think you start the other way.
Okay.
And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we've seen on a couple of projects, there's been some local banks that have been interested in being supportive of things like that, and their rates were as cheap as if not cheaper than a bond. And bond has a lot of upfront costs.
That's true.
And it's just a little more difficult to.
I mean, if you think we can get a better rate.
I would just simply put it out there. Jim could do that pretty easy in the email. Just say, hey, we're looking at a $4 million project. What's your appetite for it? We want a 20-year, loan.
Locked in interest.
And we're going to partner up with the city and the county, and yada yada yada, and just see what the feedback is on it. That could be done in a week or less.
Sure.
I mean, with the local market, that is probably fair. I didn't know if they would have that ability at that $4.5 million rate, but for sure, if you can get that, I guess I was thinking if we were just both going to the general market, but I'm good with that either way. That was just the way
We can ask and see.
Yeah.
I don't know what the limits are.
I know some are limited, that would be over their limit, but I think there are others that would be willing to partner that could do that.
Well, I'll go ahead and ask that question.
That's
Send
right.
it out in an email. That way Joe would know which direction he needs to be.
Can do.
Yeah, I think we're all supportive. Sounds like we might have missed a couple of deals already, so we're ready to get rolling.
And I think Barry is too. Couldn't be here today, but we've spoken about it, and he seems supportive of it.
Thank you all very much
Yeah.
for the time and support.
Another thing,
And,
of course, I did want to point it out, because one of them's here today, but we're in an election year. There might be 3 people back on the court. It might not, you don't know how it's going to fall back.
Sure.
But I know there'll be 4 new people on the court. So,
That's the reason you want to make sure you get a code sign.
Economic development don't stop because of elections.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Court.
okay, Nathan, if you want to introduce our guest, I don't think Pete's here. First thing, let me introduce Scott Burgett. We hired Scott Burgett. I'm sure most of you's already met him. He's a UIT person, and
He's the IT guy, new IT director here.
so, I just wanted to introduce him to everybody. That way, if you see him walking around, hopefully he's not a criminal, he's an employee. So, all right.
Good morning. Strict orders not to preach today, so you'll get the sermonette version of this, all right? So let's dig in. The reason I'm here is this is the end of the Apex 90-day permit period that was passed by the Fiscal Court back in March. And since that time, I have talked and visited out at the site. And today we have here with us Mr. Eddie Hanks. He is the president of Apex. And also I spoke with, I don't believe he's here today as Judge said, but Pete Record, the general manager out at Scott Waste. And so I gave a little write-up of this situation and detailed everything, but to quickly sum, Scott Waste and Apex have litter cleaning teams out, and have been making an effort more to do that cleanup, and I've seen them out there working. What they've done is they moved the main shredding work that they do to the back of the site and plan to build a building over the coming year, is my understanding. Mr. Hanks can explain it more, but they're going to work indoors and move things more to the back of the site where it's not out front with the road where the looter chances can build up. And so I was shown blueprints and photos to say that this is serious. This is not just something he's saying to me. And so, Mr. Hanks, I appreciate him coming to talk and answer questions. And I guess just seeing the pleasure of the court on the permit process where it needs to go from here. So, Mr. Hanks.
Good morning, Judge and Fiscal Court.
Good morning. How are you?
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. How are you all? Good. So I wanted to come up and give you guys the opportunity if there's any questions or input. I'll kind of start out with a little bit of background. Of course, I'm from Auburn, Russellville High School, so I've been a native of the community for many years. Had the pleasure of being in this building many times when my dad was a deputy sheriff back in the 70s and 80s. But just what Mr. Jim DeCesare and them were talking about economic development. 20 years ago, February of 2002, we recognized the need for the waste business and an outlet, and came to this courthouse and sought directions on any needs to meet to be in compliance with. So we've operated for 20 years there. Been a tremendous amount of growth in the region and cities, et cetera, around, and certainly our business has grown there as well. Some of the things we've done is, and I appreciate the communication also, he's been really good to work with. We invited him up several times and involve him in the process of what we're doing. We have some expansion growth there, some relocation and putting some things under buildings and under roof. Of course, buildings are about 8 to 10 months out before steel even arrives, so we don't envision actual construction of buildings until spring of 23. But anyway, I wanted to open up if there's any questions or input we can have as a community partner. We are an essential business. Certainly when you build 100,000 square foot buildings and have existing industry, it's important that they have an outlet for their processed material. And some of the things we're looking for are to beneficially reuse, reduce, and recycle at our facility. So.
Well, as I'm old, I've been one big case of hell over some of this. It looks a lot better, a whole lot better. I haven't had any calls in the last 3 or 4 weeks at all. I've been by there several times, and it's either not blowing out much now, they're keeping it picked up on.
Right.
Now, about, I guess 6 months ago when I started, I'd go by there and that whole fence over where you bought that field, that fence, it was full. 5 days later, go by there, it's still full. So somebody could see it. But now then, and I still check it every now and then as I go by. I don't go out there and check it, but I look when I go by.
Sure.
And I will say, it's looking lots better.
Well, thank you. We changed some of our processes. We moved it back, and of course you remember a tornado of December. It seemed like there were huge sustained winds and wind gusts from January, February, and March, and we battled that. I think I even called Mr. Cockrell. I said, look, we're battling some high winds today. We're on this when the wind stopped. So unfortunately, it is part of our business. It's a tough business. It's 95 degrees outside today, and but anyway, we're very attuned to that, and I thank you for recognizing that, Mr. Cowell.
Well, one thing, and you don't have nothing to do with it, some of these people, I wish the sheriff's deputy, somebody catch them, but that's hard to do. They're hauling that stuff in. There's stuff out there on 68 that nobody threw out of a car. It'd be plastic and boxes so big, and but they're not covering it up.
Yes, sir.
And what you don't have nothing to do with that part. But, and of course the sheriff or the deputies are not out there when it's blowing off, and they'd stop them. At least I hope.
Mr. Hanks, tell me a little bit, like, I'm in the roofing business, so I go to your neighbor there to dump shingles all the time, but tell me what you are getting and what you're doing with that material that I see there.
Right. Well, there are actually 3 parts of the project there. We have liquid waste, which is a non-haz and a special waste. We actually we use sawdust and shredded construction debris, so we're getting an extra beneficial reuse out of that construction debris rather than just putting it in the landfill. So that's actually getting shredded. We're recovering the metal with a cross-belt magnet, which is getting recycled. And then, of course, there is a wood product which will be turned into basically just mulch. And we're doing less of that. We also make a product called Silk Sock, and it's an erosion control. It's basically an eel in place of silk fence, but it uses post-secondary wood products. So
So you're chipping it up and you're tubing it?
yes, We're not doing a lot of that, but that's in our sights in a new building.
We appreciate your partnership with the county and being in business, and I think these plans that y'all have got in place is going to really help in the future.
Well, communication is appreciated, and certainly, Mr. Kyle, I'll be happy to give you my cell number direct if there's anything you see that's,
No, I wasn't trying to put you out. of
no,
business.
no,
I mean, that stuff, them gates open, that stuff blowing out.
Yes, sir.
And not picking it up was worse than anything.
yes, sir. We're doing making a very conscientious
Yeah, I know
effort
that,
to,
right. I'm agree.
and I think with the remove process and maybe not 40-knot winds, we're hopefully going to be okay.
I realize that stuff and this is off the subject a little, but I bought something the other day, and I don't remember where, and they put it in a plastic bag. And when I got out and threw the bag away, it had writing on it. And it said, would you believe I was a plastic bottle?
Oh, that's neat.
They had redone them bottles and made bags out of it. That's what, would you believe I was a plastic bottle? Yeah.
Well, I sure hope as a community and a nation that we can find and produce outlets for this recycled product because some of the overseas markets have certainly stopped accepting it.
Yep.
But I thank you all. Thank you for your progressive thoughts and communication. And
Thank you for coming and addressing the court.
anything else I can answer for you all?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Aaron, thank you, Mr. Carter.
Do we need to?
Yeah, I guess it's the pleasure of the court as to, where to go forward with the permit
Your
process.
recommendation would be to award
As I put in there, monitoring is always key, but yeah, I think that would be what I would say. So, just to,
And it's the site permit. Is that
Yes,
what it's
yeah.
called? Yeah, I'll make a motion to allow the APEX/TPM to continue doing business and give them the site permit.
I second that motion.
Okay.
Last time we did a 90-day temporary, is this for?
this is for the rest of the year, I
rest of the
assume.
year.
Make that motion just a little bit louder. I didn't.
I make a motion to grant Apex TPM the site permit for the rest of the year.
Okay.
And I second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Questions? Not hearing any, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item of business is the bill list and a supplemental bill list.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
And supplement.
got a motion on the bill list and a supplemental bill list and a second. Is there any question? Okay, not hearing any, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, treasurer report. Man,
Good morning, Court.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In your folders, you should have a copy of the financial statement ending May 31st of 2022. The balance in the general fund was $1,551,139.63. Road fund 130,580.03. Jail fund 137,319.92. LGEA 81,164.13. Federal Grants Fund, $54.68. Solid Waste Recycling, $518,618.11. Parks and Recreation Fund, $500,669.10. Occupational tax, $7,617,883.77. Life skills, $153,606.58. 911 fund, $97,671.91. Health insurance fund, $574,127.42. ARPA fund, $2,635,784.27. Special reserve fund, $4,185,921.76. Total of all funds, $18,184,541.31.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, got a motion to approve,
Got two
and a
questions.
second, there's any question?
Yeah, I got two. So when are we expecting the next round of the ARPA money?
We received.
I was going to say that once y'all got through that. I got the second tranche of ARPA money on June the 8th. So on your next financial statement, you'll see the full $5 million.
Gee, I can smell it. And then the health insurance fund
Yes.
thing, how much longer are we gonna keep that?
That fund is still, since we're self-insured, we're going to continue to have that health insurance fund until we go elsewhere. If we
Okay, so
want-
it's always going
Yes.
to be that, but we're not, I guess my only question is because I don't see, like, is there any thing going into it? Are we making any deposits?
We are. So the total receipts for this year are $1,046,404.59. That's what we've put into that this year.
Okay, that's
Um,
just this year?
yes.
That is what we did?
Yes. And to date, we have spent out of that fund $472,277.17.
Okay.
And we're trying to get that balance to $1
I
million.
think we're talking about
Yes.
Thomas continuing to fund that till it gets to $1 million.
Okay. I
You know
remember
what I'm
that.
talking about now.
And have we settled all those claims with the old self-insured thing? Have they all been put to bed?
For the most part, I think I have still one or two out there personally where checks were mailed to the wrong place and they're having to get their money back before they can pay my bills. So I haven't heard from any other county employees that they're still having problems with that. So hopefully we're free and clear of that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions? Okay, let's have a vote.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
You also have a list of budget transfers in your folder that we need to have approved.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, second on the budget transfers. Question? Okay, let's have a vote.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
And I do have two cash transfers today. We need to transfer $100,000 from the Occupational Net Profits Tax Fund to the jail fund.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, second on the cash transfer. Question? Okay, let's have a roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
And we need to transfer $65,000 from the Occupational Net Profits Tax Fund to the LGEA fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Now, question.
What's the 65 for? What do we pay? What are we gonna be paying for that?
This time we had the $25,000 part payment to the city of Russellville. We had one to economic development, and then we had the $10,000 contribution to the Humane Society.
I looked at that last night. Is that 10,000 every month to Humane Society?
Yes. We were doing that on a quarterly basis, but it was easier for the Humane Society to get it on a monthly basis. So that is that's a monthly contribution now.
I read all that last night that way. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
That's all I have for you this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, road work request, Tyler.
District 1, continue maintenance. Appreciate everything, Kelly.
District 2, same thing. Appreciate all that's been done. Everything looks good. Appreciate the mowing.
Same thing, District 5. Kelly, sometime we'll get together before this week's over. I got 2 places we'll go look at. Thanks, everything's good.
District 6, continue maintenance. Thank you for everything. Thank you for getting that concrete poured, and just go ahead and pave that back side on Candace Way when the Scotty's comes back this fall. I won't be doing it in this 100-degree weather.
Okay, y'all heard the road work request, we have a motion on.
Yeah. I'm driving the 10,000-pound car over the I can do it. I'm scared of it.
Okay, we have a motion on the road work request.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Powell,
Kyle. Kyle.
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Okay, elected official, Mary. The guy we're working with resigned today from his position over at Charlotte,
What's his name?
Nelson.
Oh,
Bruce.
Bruce. And,
I knew he was
and
going
of
to
course-
retire, but I knew he was going to retire. I think this was just his retirement, wasn't it? Or-
I think he maybe had something else what came up.
Okay. Well, he was
And,
fixing to quit.
And he told me he was gonna turn this project over to some lady over there, so I need to call over there. But he just resigned.
Y'all should have asked Jimmy Kent when he was leaving.
The architect that's supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
So, we'll call him.
Yeah, it's just the
We're gonna
same.
get out of court today.
Well, I mean, they told us it'd be June before they could even look at it.
For real.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He said they couldn't even look
Well,
at
you
it.
know, Gene, that was when we was, me and you.
Okay,
No, they announced it. Yeah.
I got it.
okay, that's all you got. We'll move on to Steve.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
what have you got? He
We ain't going through all that.
done brought a box.
No, it's 90,
I thought you
it's
s-
90 degrees up here, bro.
No, I have a shortened speech. I need to get the fee report acknowledged first.
Motion to approve the sheriff's department fee report for May.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the fee report.
Yeah. Go ahead and pass that out.
Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Powell,
I also have CDs if you would like to review that
Yes.
by CD.
Yeah, that's good. CD.
Chick,
Yes.
Want one? And figure Robert Earl would want one.
It's the same thing with this book. What would you rather have, CD or book?
Well, I can't hear
He ain't
it.
got no computer.
I can't hear it, can't read, so it don't make much sense.
Yeah, I need a podcast.
Now, I'm down to that.
I need a podcast.
You know, you can pay somebody to read that.
Yeah. I'll look into that.
There's actually a lady here waiting on that.
Oh, really? We passed the fee report?
I don't know if we roll called it. We did.
Okay. What this is we've been working on the accreditation process. When I came into office, I knew we needed to do some updates in our policy with the different reform bills that's come through the last 4 years, I guess. So what accreditation is, it's moving forward with the 21st century of law enforcement. There's a lot of things that have changed and are going to continue to change. So last year, the Sheriff's Conference, it became more of a topic than a conversation. There's only 20 sheriff's offices in the state of Kentucky that are accredited out of 120 sheriff's offices. Mainly the difference between non-accredited and accredited is this ensures the public that we are, as a sheriff's office, working at the highest efficient level of professionalism. It creates standards that we already had, but it holds us more accountable for those standards. It creates consistency with our policies. It also is an insurance reducer through CAECO for getting accredited, so it saves some taxpayers' money that way as well. So we've worked on this, and Chief Winchester's done a ton of work on it. It's a lot of reading, a lot of looking at other policies throughout the state and even the nation. Right now, there's been reform bills put out that changes pursuit policies, the use of force policies, and different things like that. I think the way law enforcement is headed is in more of a national standard. It's still a long way away, but little things are starting to do. Right now, there's a potential of handcuffing policies that we have to have a particular style. Now, I will say this, that I'm not a big fan of standard government telling us how to do law enforcement, but there is a need for a few things. So it can be good and bad in both ways, but this is good for Logan County. Our policy is, before it was a good policy, but it was probably 40 plus years old, and it was just copied and pasted and copied and pasted. This program uses technology as well. We have a system that every deputy will have a login to, and we will train on the policies. So we can send them a section of policy and say, you need to read this, and there even could be a written test, or not a written test, a test at the end of the training session. So that shows that we are training, it shows accountability, it shows that we are following the standards. There's a lot of process to continue with this part. This was the first big part. Once we submit our application for accreditation, they'll send a team down and they'll go through our building, they're going to go through the policy, they're going to go through our cruisers to make sure we have what we're supposed to have, and then process will go to the next level. So consistency is one of the main things with accreditation, and accountability, but it also, I hope it shows the public that we are looking to be more professional and effective in law enforcement for Logan County. So you guys read it if you want to. We've worked with Joe. Joe's aware of the process. He's looked at a few of the policies. So
You have the movie?
I think he.
So this is the same thing
Yes,
right here?
it's just a digital
He's
version.
going to copy it on Google Drive. We're going to share it.
So could you use this for somebody else?
Yes, I would like to get those back when you're
Yeah.
done with them.
Save a tree, I'll
Yeah.
do that. Save a
The
tree.
tree's already been cut.
Bring it off for somebody else. You gotta give
If he's gonna do Google
deputies
Drive,
or-
We'll share it on Google Drive.
now Barry, he may, I don't know if Barry will want one or Jack.
It's just a PDF on the disc, right? Okay. Probably just a large one.
You gonna read, Robert Earl?
Well, can I take it?
Yeah, you can take it home. I'll just get it back from you later. It's fine. Yeah.
Next court meeting, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, has anybody got any questions, or?
How long's the process? Does this usually take?
It could take 6, 8 months sometimes. We kind of got started early, so when the accreditation starts and they come down, we've jumped a few hoops early, so I'm hoping less than 6 months. I'm hoping that it'll be this year.
Anything you need from a court, any kind of.
Well, there's some, like things that we should already have in our cars, we're going to have to get, but I will utilize my budget for that, or drug fund money to keep that cost down from coming out of the budget. But I just wanted to let court know what we were doing, and then, please, if you have a suggestion or comment or whatever, I'd be happy to send me an email or call me about it. But that's what we're fixing to start doing, and just, I guess, court's blessings of the new policy.
I know you've been working, I think you've probably been working on that since your tenure as sheriff.
We have. We started, and like I said, conversations were always about accreditations, but it was a stigma that only big agencies could do this, because one, there is some financial stuff that it does burden an agency with, but I've always said that accreditation is the future of any law enforcement agency, and if you're going to operate and cover liabilities in the county and protect the citizens and employees, this is what we need to do, and it's been something I've wanted to do for a long time, and now I have the ability to do it. So.
I know y'all been working on it a long time.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like I said, it's a team effort.
Got a couple hours in it.
I'm not going to take all the credit for it, but I did push it, and I put people in place that, hey, this is what I want done, and we're getting it done. So I appreciate it. That's all I had.
I know it's a lot of hard work just putting that book.
It was. Oh yeah, you can ask Chief Winchester that one.
I want to say, we're not always nice. You use Warren County Fiscal this to their share. Do you know this Friday they bought 11 new vehicles?
Well, no, court has been great. I can't complain about court at all.
Yeah, I do.
That's a different atmosphere. Yeah, they're a bigger agency.
This Friday.
Yeah,
We got some July 1st coming, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We do. Because I know Tyler's probably aware. There's some new stuff about SROs and some things that we're fixing to start working on as well. So I'll bring that back later. But I just figured I'd ease this in today. That's all I had.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Scotty, I know you got a fee report.
There's that May fee report. Get acknowledged. Motion to approve the May fee report.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second to approve. Questions? Okay, not hearing any. Let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Golden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
That's all I had today, Judge.
Okay, that's all we got.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay. Okay, department heads. Kelly, you got anything this morning? Kelly, gone. Okay, Ginger.
next time, that's all good.
Okay, Nathan.
Just real quick for us today, I did have a recycling and litter abatement report in the folder. For the recycling, we had 25 cardboard bales and some paper and a metal load we took off this month. And for the litter pickups, we've had the best month we had in May than we've had in the last year or so. We have had 51 miles of pickup in May, 620 bags, and 7 tires. So, if y'all had any questions?
I know he's not here today, but I know Phil's sending those inmates out. Boy, I'm really thankful for that. They would have been picking up on 68. Like I was saying earlier, people losing it off of these trucks and stuff. But I appreciate it. I wish he could send them out every day somewhere.
Yeah, they've been going out very faithfully in recent times, and they have been doing a lot of work on 68 and the bypass and the Terry Wheel cut. A lot of work.
Yeah, that's a huge help. 620 bags. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And they can do it every month.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, any questions for Nathan?
Nathan, I appreciate your help with our dump site. I just want to publicly thank you, for what's going on in the bypass and getting a problem if it wasn't for you, so I really appreciate that. Thank
I was
you.
glad to help. Do you want me to detail what you're talking about, or just leave it there?
Nah, I'm just gonna leave it there. I think
Okay.
everybody knows what's going on, so.
Okay. Well, they may not out there in the public, but
We're on the downhill side. We had nothing to report other than somebody dumping sludge on the side of the road, and through the investigation work of y'all got them caught. Now we hopefully get it cleaned up.
there you go. Yeah. It'll be a process, but we're gonna hang in with it, so.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you. Sue Carol, you got anything? Okay, we'll move on then to judges' announcements. Logan County Fair begins on June the 18th through June the 30th at the Logan County Extension Campus. There will be a public meeting for Russell Solar, and it'll be held June the 15th at 5 p.m.
It's tomorrow.
at the Logan County Public Library. I hope that most of you plan on attending that meeting.
What time does it start, Judge?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
I didn't hear that.
The Silicon Ranch public hearing, or public meeting is going to be tomorrow at the library at 5 o'clock.
Okay, and then a celebration will be held at Flint Ridge, the McCubby home, Saturday, June 18th from 11 to 2. And y'all should, since it's a surprise, y'all should have this in your folder if you want to say no more about it, since it's a surprise celebration. So,
It's on the left-hand side.
It'd really be a surprise to her if she's listening to this.
When he said he, it's a he, right?
Yeah.
and that's June 18th from 11 to 2. Is there any announcements that any of you know about that I missed? Okay. Citizen participation.
Before we go to citizens participation, I didn't know when to do this, but the mayor of Lewisburg, Matt Moore, couldn't be here this morning, so he had sent me an email and to the Logan County Fiscal Court. And his email states, the city of Lewisburg has been fortunate to have help from the court to better improve our city park. Many upgrades have been done, some still are in progress, and we look forward as we are able to do more. The next project on the city's list would be to fix some of the much needed lights at the baseball park that overlook all the ball fields. Some lights are out and some need new lines ran to them. The city of Lewisburg is asking for the $8,000, for the sum of $8,000 to go towards this project. The city would like to thank the court for their consideration. With much appreciation, Mayor Matt Moore, Lewisburg.
If we're gonna give Logan 8,000, I say we'll give Lewisburg 8,000. All of them are gonna do it.
Well, we put it in the budget and they've got to request it with the project.
I talked to you about that the other day, you know.
Yeah. They got to request it with the project that they're going to do. That way, if you go to Lewisburg, you just have to drive by the park, you can see the lights are on in that particular project. You know what I'm talking about? It gives the court an opportunity to see what's done with the money.
The lights down there are 35 years old, and it's about a $20,000 plus project, but this will get them halfway started or so. So that's the city of Lewisburg's request. So if you want to put that into a form of motion.
Yeah, I will.
You gonna second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, we got a motion and second to grant the request. Questions? Okay, let's have a roll call.
Davenport.
Yes.
Harper.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Bolden.
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, citizen participation. I think everybody's left in the court except for a couple of newly elected officials. If anybody would like to address the court at this time, we ask you to come forward. We ask you to state your name and some vicinity of the county you live in. Not seeing anybody moving, we'll move on then to the new business. The first item of new business this morning is open the bids on the health services at Logan County Detention Center for 1 year, beginning August the 1st of 22 through July 31st of 2023, with the option of 2 renewable years beginning of July 31st of 2024 and July 31st of 2025. And we got 3 bids.
Dude, send it to me. Don't. Yeah, that's just an email.
First bid from, Quality Correctional Healthcare.
Did I take it or what? Was it, I think she took it. Okay, she took it.
Okay, it looked like our annual price, looked like it might be $397, $329.60.
Daniel Cameron, you remember the conference?
397, 300.
The next one's Western Kentucky, Health Correctional Care.
For the medical service at the jail. No, we took a picture together from that sign.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You got that?
Yeah, she's got it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sitting there asking for that.
Yeah, because that was all after, yeah.
She took your phone and took a picture of you and
Yeah.
and then you walked back and she took a picture of me. And then you and I took a picture from that sign.
You had me tripping. Man, I'm losing.
We had West Kentucky last year and then Southern California.
Yeah, there's Western Kentucky Correctional Healthcare, that's the company that's down there now. Look like total contract here is $275, $284. I'm gonna suggest, when we open the next one, we'll let everybody review it and then let the jailer look at it before we,
And they were having that 31.
Okay, this proposal is from Southern Health Partners.
Yeah. Who you got there? Western
It's
Kentucky?
Western Kentucky Correctional. It's 275, 284.
275, 284.
Okay, it looks like their basic yearly price is $366,000.
get to go in from there.
122. I want to see the middle. Oh, come in. He told me he was gonna be here. He sent me a text. He said, you know, last week sometime said he'd be here. Said he'd be here, but I said the bid open. So let's see, average is 175, staffing is 84 hours, 12 hours, 7 days a week. Supervisor, medical side, 2-hour weekly basis, 74 hours a month. Same day medication delivery, 24/7 in-call pharmacy, 60-day termination, parties.
I think we have another month after this month, if you all want to, let Phil take a look at it.
Oh, yeah, we definitely want Phil to take a look at it. At least
I
I
think
do.
we won't get it settled in the next court meeting, you know, if we can.
We're currently in for five jails: McCracken County Jail, Marshall County Jail, Fulton County Jail, Callaway County Jail, Hopkins County Jail. That might be worth checking the references. Oh, we have. I
Yeah.
thought they said we had seven.
No, we have.
She
She said, yeah.
You're happy with the service. The George just needs to figure out if he's happy with the service. Everything I read just looked like it was apple to apple to me as far as times, coverages, and hours. There was a lot of space on it.
David?
Okay, Judge, just table that until the jailers had time to review it.
Yeah, I think that.
Come back with a recommendation. It does look like our current supply is a little bit. So unless there's a good reason not to do it, but then it seems to be a no-brainer. Yeah.
Okay, you got a motion, David, to the, to review it to the next one.
Second.
Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Hey, David. Okay, next item of business is to discuss quotes on generator maintenance at Logan County ECC Center and one on Lemmy Drive. Y'all should have those quotes in front of you. Get that one.
Which one do you like? Your back part?
Yeah, every part.
Is that who does it school? Rock and roll.
Y'all got any more you seen?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. We got one from Baycar and the other one from Nixon.
One of them's up at the radio tower site.
Or at the EOC. At the EOC?
who's the other one?
Nixon.
Nixon,
This one right here is not one of the cheapest and easiest.
that's the one we've already dealt with.
The ones we got now is Everpar, they take care of it pretty good. I'd say.
Yeah, and I did call about the one that we've got on the, that's going in at Lewisburg, and it's not
they're waiting on parts for it, and it'll still be under warranty. So we won't have, so then we don't have to add that one this year.
So they do the yearly maintenance under the warranty? So we'll just add.
Judge, I make a motion that we select Evapar as for the maintenance of our 2 generators.
Second.
Okay, got a motion to go with Bayfront on their quote. Of course, the cost, generally, because of the annual cost, we have to quote this, at the quote again, so.
She said the one at Lewisburg will be under warranty, so we don't have to.
One at Lewisburg, when we get it to be under warranty for, and they said, that the Bayfront might be coming through them anyhow.
Yeah. They installed that.
Okay. Any questions? We had a motion, we had a second there. Who seconded that?
Jason.
Okay. Okay, with no questions, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, next item of business. If I can get my paperwork straightened out here. Is to acknowledge the Logan County Tourism Commission 22-23 budget.
Motion to acknowledge the Logan County Tourism Commission's 22-23 budget.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second. Question. Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, next item of business is to appoint Lisa Davis to the Logan County Tourism and Convention Commission Board for the term ending 6/14/2025.
Motion to approve the appointment of Lisa Davis to the Logan County Tourism and Convention Board, term ending 6/14/2025.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second. Is there any question? Okay, not hearing anything. Let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, we approved CAECO Workers' Compensation Insurance Premium Policy, WC2022-0071, and special fund tax in the amount of $85,559 for your fiscal year 22-23. And before we didn't have the policy, so we just need to approve this.
Are we going to pay it in full and get the 1%
We'll
discount?
pay it in July.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the CAECO's workers' compensation insurance premium and pay it in full to get the 1% discount, and the total will be $84,703.41.
Second.
You too slow.
Okay, got a motion, second. Questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, next item of business is to approve CAS property and casualty renewal for 22-23. We ended up, a new ambulance came in, so they added that to the total of what we talked about before, $2,290. So we need to approve the invoice at $219,604.
Motion to approve.
And we'll pay this too.
We'll pay it early and save 1%.
Pay
Second.
$217,407.96.
1% pays for that extra added.
Okay. We had a motion, we had a second, right?
Jason second.
Okay.
Still running.
Questions? Okay, if not, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Next item of business is to approve county treasurer's continuation bond for period 7/1 of 22 to 7/1 of 23.
We do a background check on her?
That's a pretty big liability. Motion to approve.
Second.
What's the bond amount?
$250,000.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Okay, is there any questions? Okay, let that roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, next item of business is to approve the Logan County Sheriff's Office 2021 property tax and franchise settlement pending final audit. And Steve, you got any comments to make on that?
No, everything went really well. He had a really good collection rate again, over 96%, I believe, maybe 97. So, no, everything's good. We're just waiting on the audit.
Got Jason's check yet?
I'll have to check.
It's
it.
pending.
Trust me, I
pending.
miss one occasionally.
Did you? Oh, when you got 55.
Yeah.
So no, we turned all that over to Scotty's office back in April, and it was another successful year. Next year we'll have where people can pay online. So
Free?
yeah. I think there's a little, if you use your credit card or whatever, they charge a small percentage, but that's every business.
To the customer or
To the customer, yeah. We don't get anything off that at all. That's
like
just
3% or something?
yeah. A lot of people use it to get mileage and points, and of course we have that at the office now that they can pay with that, and a lot of people utilize that. And we take a few by phone as well, so that's helped a lot. But this year we hope to, the tax season coming up, we'll be able to pay online. So we're excited about that. That's all I really had.
I'll make a motion to approve the Logan County Sheriff's Office 2021 property tax and franchise settlements pending final audit.
Second.
I'll second. You second? Yeah. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Next item of business is approve first reading of an ordinance number 22-230-03, an amendment to the ordinance of number 04-230, an ordinance relating to certain amendments to personnel policies and procedures, compensation plan, and adopted January 11th, 2005, reflective changes to existing positions at the judge's office and the county treasurer's office, and creating a new position of general support at the road department. And y'all should have a copy of that somewhere on the desk.
So on
Okay.
the new position, general support at the road department, do we need to, you're gonna use an existing,
Do what?
you're gonna use an existing pay scale for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Like one of the stipends again?
That position is basically mowing. It's got,
Oh, I got
this
you.
time of year,
It's part-time mowing.
well, one of them part-time, one of them's full-time, but it's basically mowing, taking people to their equipment,
I got you.
and they can drive the small stuff out there, tractors and mowing. But due to some questions, from transportation department, that's the reason.
There's a new job description for this?
We're not, yeah, it's just a new job description.
Okay.
We're not adding nobody to that department.
Yeah.
guess we had an IT one last year. Well, we had it in
Yeah. All right. I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number 22-230-03.
Second.
Okay, and the rest of this is where we changed job descriptions, where we added that one person in the judge's office. And they've been working under these job descriptions, but to save money, for the county, we held off to see if there was going to be anything else we needed to add to it. And that was the recommendation of our county attorney. We had a motion and we had a second, right? Okay, let's have a roll call then.
Davenport.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
Logan.
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, 6 court, let's take about a 5-minute break.
All right.
Scotty brought me a drink that started melting all over my table.
Blame it on Scott.
Hey, you can throw that water over here on me.
Okay, welcome back to Logan County Fiscal Court. Next item of business is to approve a summary of additional court security costs due to the fact of an order that was written at the Justice Center, that if it's open, you know, that we have to provide some kind of security over there. And Joe and Steve and myself got together, and this is the only way we see we can cover it. But the possibilities of being able to do it, I don't know how possible it is. As far as being able to get people.
Yeah, I mean, we'll cross that hurdle when we get to it. It will be somewhat probably difficult, but
So is this worst case scenario?
Worst case
So
scenario,
If
yes.
we have to hire 4, and if they're full-time, and if they're there full-time?
yes.
So what are we doing right this minute? How's this
The,
working?
the road deputies or whoever's available, go get them. We've done 30 since we started this, and it varies
And that's 2
all
weeks.
throughout the day.
It's basically,
It's 2 weeks.
It'll jag less than 2 weeks.
Right,
It'll be
yeah.
2 weeks Thursday.
Yeah.
Can we take this out of the commissary again?
Who sets the bond? I mean, what do you know how?
The judges, there's a
Yeah, 12
pretrial.
o'clock at night, who sets it?
They do.
For benefit of the
You mean you wake them up?
Yes. Yeah, the jail will call, and they call a number, wake up the clerk.
jail, I mean, what more benefits you want? That's like number
But-
one. What's the best benefit? Get
But
out
right
of
now,
jail.
it hadn't cost the sheriff's department $1 out of the budget.
No, it's not. It's just other than, you know, if they're busy, they have to wait. So, I mean, you know, we had to have a number because it was the end of the line on this budget thing. You know, hopefully a resolution might be worked out, but we had to prepare for the worst case. So, yes, we are handling it.
But if you continue to do 15 a week, it's
Yeah.
gonna be painful.
It's
for the
gonna,
next 6
yeah,
months.
you know. The busy times are in that second shift range, and, you know, there's been times they've had to wait a little bit before they got over to do it.
What do you do? Just stick them in jail because they wait?
No, we pick them up at the jail, drive them over to the clerk's office, walk them into the clerk's office. They do the paperwork
At
with it.
midnight, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Yeah, Mary Orange has been staying over there at night, and if she has to continue to do that, she's wanting someone to be in the building with her. Then that person that's in the building with her will be the one to go get the prisoners and come back, not the road units.
But I still don't understand. You said she's not over there every night, is she?
She has been, yes.
Well, that really,
She's got a bed over there.
she wasn't elected to do that.
That is a controversy. Constitution says she's required to do it, but all the jails in the state of Kentucky are doing that as a service to the clerk's office.
I think they said she's almost got a 24-hour job still.
Yeah, she's been doing that a lot on the night and weekends, and, you know, not being able to be at the office all the time because she's trying to sleep in between. But
She's trying to save her employees.
yeah, she don't have the money to have an employee stay over. She's saving money by doing it herself.
So if we approve this, then you're gonna immediately try to hire 4 bailiffs.
Right,
and
I'll
full-time
start the
rotation.
process.
So here's what I know about the situation. The problem that we're having is due to a staff shortage, according to the jailer. Staff shortage at the jail is why he can no longer do it, all right?
Right.
Okay. So there's a staff shortage there, and then which means they can't do it temporarily. I mean,
Correct.
if they get more staff, you know,
They could do it.
then they could do it. So my thing is that if it's a problem with the jail staffing, I still, you know, one way or another, we need to take that out of their budget for their staffing. And then if he needs this, if he needs additional staffing, or if it starts seeing where he's able to hire more people and it's being taken care of, we can do an amendment to the budget and move it back. You know, I don't want to add to the budget, is what I'm saying, for this, in my personal opinion. I don't want to add to the sheriff's office budget for this.
Right.
You know, It's just,
Just like the budget transfers, what you're saying, like we just did a while ago, you're gonna budget transfer
As needed.
$20,000 out of the jail budget over to the sheriff's budget
Right.
to cover that expense.
right.
Because there wouldn't be any added expense on the jail side, because you're not gonna go back and pay an employee for not having it. I mean,
Yeah.
if you hadn't had
Just
that
don't have it till you
employee
have it.
For 6 weeks.
Well, I won't think about that, they won't allow Steve to hire nobody, they won't.
Well, how come this can happen all at once?
Might not allow him to hire nobody, and that don't mean that it will fix it.
Well,
Right now, he's covering it with overtime.
Well, no, just the guys come off, they just, if they're not busy, they'll go do it and process out and, go to the next call.
Well, here's
If
my
they're in a
thing.
call when it comes out, the jail just has to wait until we.
what if they're in the
get
middle of the
there.
process and the deputy's in the
Right.
middle?
That's the only scenario that we cannot fix is if they're 2 units on nights and there's a shooting in Adairsville and 1 unit's at the courthouse.
That's crazy.
It's 15 minutes just to finish the process. Right. Right.
Service
Needs, yes.
Which I think is daggone crazy. We're supplying this service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It ain't gonna kill somebody to wait, to 8 o'clock the next morning and 9 o'clock the next
Right.
morning. I agree.
I agree totally. I
It's
mean,
a bunch of bull crap.
the bailiffs help us during the day if they're not busy in court.
Safety.
But public safety is the first priority.
They got no trouble to start with.
It's just stupid.
Well, I don't think Mary, whatever we do, she needs to be able to go home at night if she
Right,
wants to.
right.
She don't need to be having to stay somewhere else.
Right. By order, we're supposed to have a bailiff in the courthouse when there's someone, when it's open. And she's staying in there by herself. And yes, it's a secured building pretty much, but, we don't want to take any chances. And
I mean, the issue is somebody has to write bonds in the middle of the night, and Mary is the only one statutorily mandated to do it, so that is why she is doing it. I guess in theory, we could designate somebody else to do that. Maybe that could be this one person. We could just have them do it all.
well, I looked at that, and it's so sporadic. 2 o'clock in the morning is not uncommon, and to find somebody to say, hey, I might call you at 2 o'clock in the morning to come out and do this jail thing. I've wrote that down and tried to, that is an option that we've looked at.
I mean, our last meeting, this was kind of put out as a worst case scenario.
Yes.
And I think right now, at least my impression is Mary's doing what she can to work with, but I think her thought is if she's got to do this to the end of the year,
Right.
she probably needs the building to be open, and that's where the bailiff comes in.
Right, yes. That's the worst case scenario, and that's what we're trying to prepare for. We're handling it as best as we can, but, I worry about that one-time scenario where somebody, public, didn't get the help as they needed because we were doing bonds. But we're willing to do whatever we need to do to help the clerk's office, the jail, and the public. But we needed numbers, and this is what we came up with as a very temporary solution, hopefully.
I'm like Tyler, I'm not adding another $146,581.34 to our budget when it's sitting over there not being utilized in another budget, Now, if you want to transfer $146,581 from one department to the other department, I'm fine with that, but I'm not adding that.
Yeah, I'm not either, but,
That's crazy.
so, the 65-35 rule for election year, if he has to pay it out of his budget, it could mess some stuff up. So one way to do it is for the next 15 pay periods, because that's what that's for. That's for the next 15 pay periods. If you take that from the jail's budget for the next 15 pay periods, and then basically it's putting a hold on on theirs, for 15 pay periods, take it out of the jail's budget, and then put that in the sheriff's budget. So it's basically the same thing we're talking about. It's just,
It's an actual, like, it'd be budgeted that way versus just doing budget transfers because of the 65-35.
Same.
I'm not adding $150,000 to the taxpayer over a disagreement of how these things should work. I mean, you know, it's not fair. I know whether people want to admit it or not, it's 2/3 political, 1/3 practical, and at the end of the day, the taxpayer's out $150,000 and public safety. And I ain't jeopardizing either one.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
Y'all can vote me out tomorrow. I'm not doing that. You know, it's bullshit. I'm sorry, that's BS. So, you know, if you want to transfer the money from one department to the other, I'm fine with that. But I'm not increasing the budget.
I'm not either.
$150,000 for nobody.
Right.
I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. They can say the jail for I feel public safety.
Well,
and somebody come from the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, I'm with you on
Daniel
that.
Cameron ain't coming down
For this, right,
I think we have our back 100%.
yeah.
We have
I
to
think
come
so
up with some
too.
way to fund it if it's needed. And we got that 65-35 revenue this next year.
yeah.
Yep, I'm in agreement too, so whatever.
Yeah, so, whatever, motion-wise, what do we need on that, do you think? Or was that just a budget check?
So is plan to transfer it after July 1 for each pay period?
No, like, it would actually, like, we would have to put like 4 of the open positions at the jail budget on hold for like 15 months. And then that money would be transferred to the sheriff's office budget for July 1. That way it would increase his budget, so we wouldn't hit the 65-35 rule. And then after that, the remaining balance for the rest of the pay periods would be opened back up for the 4 positions in the jail after January.
Which I don't agree with.
One of the questions I would have is, what if he needs one of those spots, or 2 of those spots?
Well, he's got, how many spots open, 7? 9
Yeah,
spots
9.
open.
So we would
We're
just be
taking
taking 4.
For 15 pay periods.
15 pay periods. So he would have to hire 6 people for it to jeopardize his staff.
I guess the question I don't know is, and it sounded like Tyler might know, but is there a possibility that if they had 9 positions, that the jail would go back to doing that and Steve wouldn't need that? Is that your understanding?
That's my understanding. Because my understanding is we're in this predicament now because staffing shortage at the jail. So we're having to, replace that shortage and supply it from the sheriff's department. So because the bailiffs fall in the sheriff's department, so that would get us to the end of the year, and I'm with Thomas. I'm not adding $150,000 in budget for this because we're doing it because of a shortage of staff at the jail. And if the jail ends up getting more staff and say they can do it, hey, then we'll cross that bridge when we get here.
So we'll put a freeze on 4 positions, and we won't do it immediately because he ain't hired somebody.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that's a factor.
No,
I mean,
it had to be.
he had to be there when I was able to find
It had to
somebody.
be, starting July 1, it had to be, those 4 positions would be frozen until the end of the year.
Well, I mean,
And I understand your mind process on that, but he is gone 15 weeks already with 4 being understaffed, 4 or more people. So you don't need to freeze him at all. If he can order 9 people, let him hire 9 people if he finds them, because you've already gone 15 weeks with having that shortage, so that he hasn't spent that money. So if this carries on to the end of the year, there would be carryover money in his budget for salary. Okay?
but due to the 65-35 rule, that's what she's saying, it just can't be done.
No, What he's talking about is what she's saying to do.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
And if he hires 9, then
It's still on the thing.
it doesn't affect him, and maybe he can take it back over after that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Starting in January, he's got all 9.
I think the savings that, the $146,582 of savings has already happened for already staff short. He did not incur $150,000 worth of payroll because he's been down upwards to 9 people at a time.
You're saying from this fiscal year, we're gonna have carryover from this,
Yeah, it'd just be his carryover money anyway.
Yeah.
Way more than that, because it was budgeted for 9.
Right, they're not there. I mean, they haven't been there for quite some time. And that is, for his argument, which I agree with, that is part of his problem. He doesn't have staff to cover just his needs at the jail. much
Yeah,
less-
if he's 9 short and the jail population ain't shrunk.
So I understand his problem, his frustration.
Yeah, I understand.
But if we're having to spend $147,000 more, $45,000 more, I'm just not adding it to the budget. We're just going to take it from somewhere else. So,
Well, I'll start looking and go from there if that's what court approves.
Well, I think the sheriff's predicament is that if he starts hiring these people, his budget's already set. And with the 65-35 rule, if he has to spend $150,000 more for the next 15 pay periods, it's going to give his department less money to spend because of 65-35. If we don't add this to his budget.
I'm saying let's add it to his budget.
Oh, okay.
We're going to take it. It's just a budget transfer,
Yeah.
just like we did those 4
Yeah,
pages.
take it from the jail.
You're going to take it from the
Yeah.
jail salary
Mm-hmm.
and move it to the sheriff's
Yeah.
deputy salary.
Yeah.
It's a budget
That's what I
transfer,
wanted to, yeah.
Period.
That's what I
That's the
wanted.
only thing I'm going to explore. I ain't adding no new money. I'm telling you. I ain't doing it.
I don't know if it's gonna give either department the ability to do what they need to do. And
They should, because the jail should already be, because of staff shortage, they should already be what we would call carryover money or under budget, that much money in their line item for payroll. I mean, if you went 3 months with 5 to 9 people understaffed, that's 5 to 9 people. I mean, we budgeted for full staff in his budget. It's fully staffed, where he's not been fully staffed, so he should have that carryover.
well, we've been transferring money too from regular deputies to part-time deputies
I'm sure we have, and overtime as well.
and overtime.
If it does come out of his budget, we hadn't added nothing to his budget.
No, I'm talking about at the jail.
But still, we hadn't added anything to his budget. He's just transferred from one line item to another. So we hadn't added to his budget. You know what I'm saying? Whatever his approved budget was, nobody's
There's
coming.
still additional funds in the deputies and maintenance line item in the current year's budget.
So to take care of it through June, we should be fine.
Right.
Yeah, or through this fiscal year on the jail, but for next fiscal year is what we gotta,
Ain't no difference. Won't be any different. You don't have 9 employees come July 1. It's 9 employees. If it ain't but for 1 week, that's 9 employees you getting back. Second week comes along, 9 employees you getting back. Third week comes along, you hire 2. Now that's 7 employees you getting back. But you fully funded that budget, okay? You're not changing the dollar amount.
but we
you're
have,
just moving.
but I think in our budget, we have to show that in the sheriff's budget where we're gonna make those transfers of $150,000.
Make a $150,000 budget transfer and you're done. You're gonna fund that all the way through December. You wanna do it quarterly, do it $50,000 at a time. It wouldn't be quarterly. You wanna do 3 payments.
Right.
$50,000 at a time.
Where else would this $146,000 come from?
I'd like to get it from the commissary account,
But
Joe didn't want to give us a legal opinion on that.
no, I'm saying, like, where else would it come from?
You would have to add it, it's a new budgeted line item, so you would have to add that to your current budget. If you added $150,000 to his deputy payroll
bailiffs.
line item, you know, or bailiff's line item, that's new money, you gotta show where it's coming from.
So
You
where
gotta
would it
take
come
from-
from?
Like everything else, from occupational tax money. It's the only place you got to pull it.
But if his budget don't start out with the additional 150, starting July
Budget.
1?
The budget's showing another $130,000 coming in due today. Y'all didn't see before, that we're gonna talk about changes here in a few minutes, but I don't see where this is gonna give Steve the ability to, if he needs somebody, to hire somebody, if we're not gonna need them a month from now.
So if our new budget doesn't show Steve having this money available, that's going to affect his 65-35 that he can spend during the election year. That we're having to take from his budget. So it's taken from other resources that he's already, got to spend money on. So we got to. That's the thing we got to make sure that we don't affect is his ability to fund his department.
Do we have to create 4 full-time bailiff positions?
Are there any retirees that would take that job on a call?
I was gonna ask one
Or is that something we gotta
that used to
create?
work for us to see if he would do it temporarily. Yeah.
Cover that. That would be the ideal situation if you could find a couple of retiree people
Yeah.
from law enforcement that would.
I wish we could pull that, or if you could do it on an as-needed
The
basis.
only bad thing with that is you're all dealing with overtime about every time you're dealing with that, right?
I'm saying if they work in another profession, somebody would.
Oh.
So in 2 weeks, you had 30.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice to just have 2 or 3 people on call and you just call 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you had it on an as-needed basis, just paying $100 every time they had to drive in there and do it.
Like a constant.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I think we've got to
I
add.
don't care what y'all do, I'm just not adding $150,000 from the budget.
I think we got to add 150 to the sheriff's budget. But
As
take
long
it
as you
away.
take it from somebody else, that's fine. Just not adding, not pulling from the occupational net profits
Yeah.
money or the special reserve money or the parks department money. Ain't doing it. Just ain't doing it. Because there's expense that has not been incurred. And it's just not right to take money from somebody, someplace else that it's needed when you've had another department that hasn't incurred this expense. So the money is there. If you didn't have those employees, the money is there. You budget it, which we do, we fully budget that line item. If it's a $3.3 million budget, we fully fund that budget. And if you didn't incur that expense, that's carryover money at the end of the year. So just take the carryover and transfer it, budget transfer it to his department. And I'm with Judge, I don't think you do the $150,000, but I think you do it on a as incurred basis or a monthly basis or whatever, if it doesn't mess you up on a 65-35 business, but.
Well, and that's what, that's a tricky slope, and, I'd considered using deputies for overtime, but, that's a higher rate of pay, but it stays on the full-time benefit package of it, but.
Let me ask you this, if you could find somebody, let's say you make some phone calls and you find 2 or 3 people that would be willing to cover that, why can't they just be, because we're all employees of the county, why can't they just be under the discretion and under the payroll line item of the jail? And then you ain't got to transfer nothing. Just say, hey, I'm going to hire retiree, Joe and Sally. and they're gonna be on an asphalt basis, and y'all agree upon a price, and you're gonna be paid through the jail's budget. Why would that not work?
Well, it's almost like,
Seems our only known issue that's been
I'm just
made
saying,
aware to me is staffing.
the issue is the county has to provide somebody to provide those services to do that. So that, where it happened, we can confirm that, so Steve is.
yeah, I mean, my thing is it's the service that the sheriff's office provides the courthouse, so, and you know, you're hiring somebody under the jail type scenario, but yet, am I in charge or is the jail in charge of them?
I would hope you just say the jail's in charge of it.
Right,
You wouldn't
and
have
I'm fine with that.
Who wants that?
I'm any solution
Let go
that puts
quick.
it back, yeah,
You know, you're just trying to help somebody find
Right,
somebody to
yeah.
do that. And I know that's not a employee that they currently have.
Right.
But there's no reason it can't be
right.
temporary position that they have.
I see what you're
At the
saying.
end of
I
this year,
can
we got
ask and
transfer
see,
money.
yeah.
So I think
I think
Got a
though,
number that they call.
like
There's three
a-
numbers. You call these numbers and they're gonna come provide the
Right.
service for you. And when they get paid, Logan and Amanda write the checks. Ain't like
Right.
nobody's cutting a check with them two.
Right.
It's just coming out of their line item.
I'm fine with that if we can make sure that it'll work that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna add 4 bailiffs to his department without adding to his budget. There's no way I can support that. But I'm with you, I don't wanna add that much to the budget. We would have to take it from somewhere, which obviously we're having staffing issues at the jail, we would take it from the jail. But Amanda said he's got some, carryover to take care of it for the rest of this fiscal year, and overtime and stuff that you're having to do. And we just, can we talk about this? Can we maybe settle this at the next court meeting? I know it's pushing it pretty close, or have a special call, I don't know.
What conversation needs to be had between them?
We just need to figure out for sure what we gotta do about this transfer of money. Because we've gotta add the $146,000 to the sheriff's budget to not affect his, what he needs for his department. So.
Do we have to create 4 full-time bailiff positions in his department?
Do we have to? I don't know.
Do you have those slots?
Currently?
Yeah.
No, the bailiff slots are full, and I've even asked for an increase in the new budget to add more over there during the day for the day shift
You
responsibilities.
got just one full-time and the rest are part-time.
Basically, yeah. Chief Button's the full-time. Clarence works 40 hours, but he's not drawing the package type stuff. My problem with the day shift bailiffs is, they are restricted to hours and they struggle to stay in that restriction because they're so busy over there. So that would totally mess up using them at all.
So can we create these 4 positions now and then settle where the pay comes from the next meeting?
If we create those positions now, then we would, like Thomas said, we could just take from the carryover from the jail,
Pay as we go.
pay as we go. And then,
I think what we're doing, is taking the ability of 2 departments to go ahead and operate.
We're taking what?
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
What'd you say?
I think we're taking the ability of 2 departments to go ahead and make some kind of decision to be able to operate.
Well, I mean, I just have to deal with the information I have and who's here
Right.
presenting it.
Today.
Okay, so, I mean, maybe the decision I'm making is not a good one, but I'm basing it on all the information
Right.
that I have. If Phil, has a different twist on it and a different argument, which I'm sure he does, I'm happy to entertain that and make the best decision for the county, but, public safety's first.
Right.
And their money is second.
Right. Well, and like I said, I'm just trying to here to
So,
provide a solution for the temporary problem that we got, and, I'll do whatever court. And, my only issue is the public safety part at 2 o'clock in the morning. And, you have to plan worst case scenarios, and, it could happen, and I don't want to, it's worse to get in a bad situation like that, trying to hold on and hope nothing happens.
That'd be a bad deal when you got 2 people on night shift and there's a car accident.
Right.
You need people there, and you're in the middle of shuffling.
I mean, one deputy responding to any scenario, and a deer hits them, then that deputy's out, and then and there's just too much of a liability just to.
Big difference with 5 people on site.
Right.
shift,
Yeah.
and you got 2. I still say you just find the people and then pay it out of the jail's budget. You don't transfer them out.
So go ahead and create the positions and.
They're giving the power
To find somebody, yeah.
You can pick up the phone call and say, you want to hire him, you want me, here's 4 numbers.
Right, yeah.
People I was going to call, and Phil wants to call them himself. Say,
Right.
The court's going to allow you
Hey.
to hire them, and it's going to come out of your budget.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to be doing under my discretion if I could keep running.
But I agree. I'm with that.
But
Absolutely.
Phil's probably going to tell you, no.
Right.
You hire him,
Oh, I'll prepare to do it under my discretion, and if it changes, it changes.
he's just going to have to fund it out of his
Right.
already unused payroll. Simple as that.
I will, upon approval, I'll start working on it.
So what do we need to do?
Do you need a motion of any kind for him to move forward?
Well, we gotta make a motion what we're gonna do with the budget. Like I said, I feel like this is handicapped in their department.
I'm saying we're not doing anything with the budget. We're going to just pay it out of the already payroll that's in the jail's budget currently, is what I'm saying. So we're going to hire the 2 to 3
Right.
people that are needed to have this nighttime coverage on an as-needed basis. And when that expense has occurred, and when and if it's occurred, and y'all write the payroll check, it's coming out of, I don't have my budget in front of me, but it's coming out of the jail payroll.
Well, and hopefully I can find people that are going to understand it's a seasonal, temporary thing. It might last 4 weeks. It might last 5 months.
You
But
said it's Christmas month.
right.
But you said you need.
There's a
some
few
more bailiffs.
people,
You
yeah.
need some more bailiffs anyway, maybe at the day
Right.
shift at some point, so maybe.
Right. They might be able to
Maybe
slide
get
in
the
in
rest
July.
of it,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, you got people like George Offutt,
Yeah.
Ray,
Right.
because you said Mr. Gamble's already working for us.
Yeah, he's already working, but, a few that have retired and not working no more that used to work in the,
Mr. Shiflett,
yeah.
He works full time.
Yeah, he's a,
he's working full-time for the city. I mean, it wouldn't affect us for overtime or anything.
he may not work.
No, but you never know. I mean,
There's a few people I have in mind. I mean, I don't know. I haven't approached nobody until we had a definite way we were going to go with it. But, I will take that headache on and figure it out.
I think the position needs to be under the sheriff. I don't think it needs to be under the jailer, because he's already got a presence at the courthouse. His employees are already there. I think we're going to be adding more to confusion to it, you know what I'm saying? Adding more
Yeah, I agree.
confusion to it if we.
I agree. If I'm going to take the headache, I'll take the full headache.
Yeah, so. I just don't know.
If I have to. I'm okay not, but.
we appreciate that. We'll get them hired and
Okay.
get the money. So do you need a budget transfer now? We're going to do it on an as-needed basis.
Yeah, well,
Processing.
I'm sitting here trying to process.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you heard me or not.
Yeah.
Do you want the budget transfer some of the money, not all of it, but a little bit of it? I mean, do you want to just do it on
Yes.
What I'm questioning more than anything is how Steve is really gonna hire anybody. What, it might be 2 weeks, it might be 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's,
then-
you know,
But we had to prepare the budget as if he can hire 4 next week.
right.
I just see it handicapped in 2 different departments. It's going to handicap Steve and then able to hire somebody. Then it's going to handicap the other department to a certain extent too. And truly, I don't think it all this will be spent.
It won't be. We're already 2 weeks into it, into the 7 weeks.
Right, I agree. I don't.
Well,
So what's the other solution?
I mean, I guess we just have to, you know, allow the sheriff to hire up to 4 bailiffs to cover for the security. And then as far as budget transfer, we transfer it from the jail's payroll
On an as-needed basis?
on an as-needed basis. Put that in form of motion if that's what we need.
Does that handicap you?
The only handicap I concerned was the 65% rule, but you know, that's the only handicap I ever see. I mean, yes, I'm gonna have to find somebody and all that, but that's, I mean, I'm always looking for somebody anyway. So, as long as we're okay in that area of understanding, then I can. I'm hoping that a couple that I have in mind will be able to help out, and we'll piece it together day by day. But
Tyler made me
Arithmetic, ain't it?
it is, yeah.
I thought at first it was really simple.
Private sector, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the first election year I've been through? It seems like it's a headache.
I've never seen
No issues?
nothing like this, just minor stuff, it's some big, big things to get with.
Re-say your motion.
Amanda says if we don't do something with Steve's budget to increase it, he can only spend 65% of his total budget when we set his budget. So the transfer of the money is still going to handicap his department.
So if
Well,
we,
and that, of course, 35%, even if he wins the race, it's gonna be tough. The
so
final 6 months.
why can't we increase his budget to 140? That, and then allow him to hire up to 4, and then transfer the money to it as needed? Is that the same difference?
Or it's increasing the budget by $150,000.
But we're not spending the money. And if we do, then we know where it's coming from.
Young budget transfer $500,000 out of one department to another, as far as I'm concerned, as long as that's all we're doing.
Yeah, and that's all we're just increasing that number, but we're not spending it.
I mean, we do budget transfers all the time, just from one thing to the other.
But they're always within the same department.
Well, they're always from occupational tax to the same department.
No, you look at your budget transfers, right here, there's 4 pages of budget transfer.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
from
yeah.
one
It's from
department
one
to
line
the other.
item to the
He
other.
took his money out of overtime and moved it to
Yeah.
fuel. He moved it from.
Same, within his department.
Within his department. This would be
That's inside the department.
it'd be a unique situation where you're taking from a jail's department and moving it to the sheriff's department.
3 out of 4 years.
Somebody gonna get mad.
We can transfer occupational tax and then from occupational tax to the sheriff.
What if you did like something less, like just $100,000, that way, less than the 65, 35, one vote, if it's something that you have to transfer back.
And I'm fine doing it on an as-needed, if-needed basis, but what Amanda's saying is.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
You're wanting to do
handicapping
it.
him because he can only spend 65% of his
Yeah,
budget.
that's why I'm saying something in the middle, because presumably people would normally hope to spend something like 50-50, so it gives a little bit more leeway for both of them to adjust and with the strict need somebody better with numbers than me, but I think the problem comes in going with the whole 156, so we try to split it somewhere in the middle of my work.
And the reason I say that too, on that 65-35 rule, when I went to the treasurer's training, I asked them if it's like, I understood that it's 65-35 when it comes to a fund, but since the clerk and the sheriff and the coroner are all in the general fund, I asked the question, is it 65% of the total general fund, or is it 65% of the fund for each, of the budgeted amount for each clerk, like the sheriff, the clerk, and the coroner? And they said that it was 65% of the clerk, the sheriff, and the coroner. If it had been 65% of the total general fund, that wouldn't have been an issue at all. So that's where I wasn't, it makes it, the way Thomas is thinking it through in a typical year, it's not a problem to do those budget transfers the way he's talking about doing it. The thing that throws a kink in this situation is the 65-35. Typically, it would not be a problem at all to just say, okay, we're doing this, we're transferring money from this fund to this fund, and it balances everything out.
You know, being election year is what's causing this. But, I mean, basically, Steve, you ain't got no guarantee on nobody.
No, absolutely not. The first hurdle was just figuring out this part, and then the second hurdle will be, finding somebody to do it. So,
Well, I think we just need to add the 146,581 to the sheriff's budget, and then put, like she said, put a hold on 4 positions at the jail for 15 pay periods. It's the same difference. What you're talking about is it's the carryover money, because you don't have the positions anyway. We're not spending it there. It's the same difference. That if we don't,
I just don't understand the hold on the future. Why do we need to hold positions when we need them?
when the jail needs them.
Why would we hold it? The money's already there. He hasn't incurred that expense. Why does he need to hold? I mean, he's not going to. If you can't find 9 yesterday, it's not like you're going to find 9 next week. But it does hinder him in case that opportunity does arrive. Why do we need to hold those positions? The carryover money's already there. He didn't incur that expense. If he started out with a pot of money, let's just say that payroll money that he needed was $1 million. It's $56,000 per year per employee. So you had 9 employees, but you haven't had employed for the past 6 months, okay?
So his carryover money from this year will go into next year's budget.
That's right.
Yeah, so.
It's there. And we're talking about the big pots, the same pot of money.
And again, we're talking about, for me, number one, supposed to say, he needs 9 employees. I don't want to come and only hire 5, because we need to pull 5 employees to move that money over there. Let him hire 9. He didn't, we got the money because the expense was not incurred. So at the end of this month, he's going to have $146,000 of carryover money in payroll if he didn't have those employees.
Yeah. Well, we just need to.
If y'all just take it out of commissary account, we'd be enough for this. It's been done.
So what you're saying is keep this requested budget amount, but remove at least 146 of the carryover amount and transfer that to the sheriff.
Absolutely. Because he didn't incur that money.
I think that's what Tyler is getting at too. Am I understanding?
But he's saying don't
hold
4 employees being hired, and I'm not for that. If he needs 9 employees.
I think what Thomas is saying is that the budget that was submitted is good enough to cover the employees as is. Just take a carryover.
If he gets his 9 employees, all the problems are solved. We won't need this anymore.
Yeah,
let's do it.
we budgeted and funded 100% of his budget, 3.2, if I remember correctly, 3.9 this year.
I think
last year was 3.2.
You could also look at it this way. I mean, if we're trying to get this figured out, if he does get back up to 9 and start paying the bond again, you would agree to discontinue those.
Oh, yes.
And just
Yes.
have that extra
Yeah.
money left in the budget.
That's the reason I say let him hire, don't put a hindrance But don't put a hold on 4 more employees. If you can find them, let him be fully staffed, and then he'd be able to pick this job duty up.
Well, I don't believe he's gonna be able to hire nobody on these circumstances.
I wouldn't count me out
Well,
yet. I wouldn't count me out on that. It will be difficult.
Do the transfer on the budget, but not the whole.
The agreement with Steve, if the jail starts doing it again, you're just gonna leave money in your budget to be a good steward.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
His funds are carryover money.
We're discussing
He doesn't keep them in his account. They're carried over. We technically just don't move the money into his budget. It's not like he's actually holding $146,000. It's just on paper. It's just a line item on paper, and when that expense occurs, Amanda takes it from our general fund operations and puts it into his
I'm just
budget.
getting at the whole point of this seems to be not spending extra county money for this, and the way to cure that is if Steve doesn't need it anymore and Mary's not sleeping at the courthouse, that
It goes back.
he just has money in there that he doesn't plan on spending.
Well, we're addressing the budget changes on the next item, so we'll just add the 146,581.34 to the sheriff's office budget at that time, right?
So, right now, we just need to approve him hiring 4 bailiffs.
We're gonna do that by adding to his budget, I guess.
Right.
I was understanding what you all were gonna do was approve the hires and at some point change the budget. That's what
We'll do that on line 12.
Yeah.
11, sorry. So for this, we need to approve him to hire 4 people.
Make the motion to allow.
Are these full-time, part-time?
Full-time.
The only way to fully cover it would be a full-time thing, because part-time is restricted on that 99-hour rule, and we figured up the hours and the number of hours and the shifts and stuff, and it would put them over the 99-hour rule. We felt it was safer to do the full-time, plus it's maybe a little more attractive package to find somebody to do the job. I don't know, but
Okay.
I think if you found part-time people who could do it, you'd be happy to do it.
yeah, and I will definitely, if somebody just says, I just want to work 24 hours, I'll make it work somehow, but,
Okay, now, what we're talking about just right now, adding 146,581.34 to Steve's budget.
that's what it would be for 4 full-time people.
It'd have to be a two-part. You'd have to be taking it out of one and transferring it to another.
What Thomas is proposing is to add that number to Steve's and take it out of the carryover figure, which would not impact the jail budget submitted by the jail.
Yeah.
That's the proposal.
Because in the budget, we have the jail's carryover already in.
Are you affecting this budget or the
Next
one
year's budget.
next budget? So you are deducting $150,000 from his payroll.
It was carryover for
Does
whatever.
it? So carryover is a different line item. His payroll is $1 million. I'm using this as a scenario. You're gonna change it to $850.
Yeah.
And you're gonna move it to his, which is $1 million, and you're gonna make it $11,150. Okay? So, simple as that. When they quit and don't need it.
Money saved.
You move it right back. I mean, but if y'all are saying this is the only way to make it work is just switch the whole $146,581.34, then
That's what we need to do.
that's what we need to do. And you have to submit that, I'm assuming, probably local government to approve it.
Right. And the equipment wise, I didn't even put that in there. I will pay that out of the drug fund because we can reuse that anyway. So I was gonna, save a little bit by.
What's the motion?
Yeah.
Motion to allow the sheriff to hire up to four additional bailiffs for after-hour security, and we would be taking $146,581.34 from the jail's payroll budget and adding adding $146,581.34 to the sheriff's payroll budget.
Second.
Okay, I'm in agreement to adding it to sheriff's budget. I'm not in agreement to transferring it from another department. So,
I would like for us to be able to do it a different way as well, but it seems what we're being told is the only way we can do it.
And if y'all come up with a different plan between now and next July 1, I'll entertain it. So, if y'all need a decision today, Tyler's made a motion, I agree with it. I guess it's the lesser of all the evils I've heard so far. Ain't none of them good options.
Right, no, there's no,
okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Powell,
Yeah, I guess. I think all the things political, but I'm gonna vote yes.
Folden,
Yes.
Chick,
I'm gonna vote no.
I appreciate it. I'll keep you up to date.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, approved, proposed 22-23 budget submitted to fiscal court. Changes that's already been added. General fund, code 01-45062, AOC reimbursement from $250,050 to $223,250, with an increase of $26,800 to reflect the blue form reimbursement. Change expenditure code 01-5086, judicial building maintenance and repair from $20,000 to $28,000, an increase of $86.94 for the contract maintenance of lawn care, including $4,800 for the spraying and fertilizing and weeding. For mowing for $4,800 and fertilized seeding and weeding and seeding $38.94. Add additional code 01-5015-446, Sheriff ASAP grant at $3,000 to reflect a new grant for fiscal year 22-23. The next item is change revenue code 01-45061, state reimbursement refund from $200 to $3,200, an increase of $3,000 to reflect Sheriff's ASAP grant reimbursement. Okay, next item is change revenue code 01-4731, miscellaneous revenue from $500 to $11,735, an increase from $11,235 to reflect CAECO cash dividend payment. Road fund is changed expenditure code 02-4514, transportation cabinet from the figure they gave us at 423 to $411,516, an increase of $7,093 to include revised fiscal year 22-23 flex fund from state. The next item is change expenditure code 02-6105-311B, rural secondary road surfacing for fiscal year 22-23 flex funds from $244,423 to $251,516, an increase of $7,093 to reflect revised flex funds from state. Next change, the revenue code 02-4518, county road aid from $1,499,652 to $1,637,042, an increase of $137,390 to reflect revised fiscal year 22-23 county road fund aid from state. Change revenue code 02-4503, federal reimbursement refund from $0 to $38,974 to reflect federal reimbursement. Fund for stream bank stabilizing, that's that project on J. Will Stewart Road, that we're going to receive the federal money for. Add expenditure code, J. Will Stewart Stream Bank Stabilization Project at $38,974 for debris removal. Jail fund, change expenditure code 0394000299, of the fringe benefits from $1247 to $65,343, an increase of $64,096 to reflect additional payroll and benefits for jail staff. Fiscal year 22 and 23, there'll be 27 payments next year. Change revenue code 034537, state prisoner payments from $912,683 to $1,012,683, an annual increase of $100,000 to reflect increase in per diem reimbursement rate for housing state inmates. Change revenue code 036334, prisoner reimbursement from $0 to $10,000 to reflect the restated ability for counties to charge fees to prisoners. Change revenue code 034680, outstanding fees from $0 to $1,000 to reflect reinstated ability for counties to charge fees to prisoners. The next item is change revenue code 034533, jail operation from $60,000 to $54,645, an increase of $5,355 to reflect the Department of Corrections allocation. Next item of business is change revenue code 034534, jail medical payments from $43.30 to $43.12, a decrease of $18 to reflect the Department of Corrections allocation. Next one is change revenue code 034569, local correction assistance fund from $40,000 to $41,619, an increase of $1,619 to reflect the Department of Corrections allocation. Change expenditure code 035101-573, jail telephone from $10,003 to $10,783, an increase of $780 for payments to AT&T for a hardwire phone line to the jail. LGA, change expenditure code 045205-384, Spade and Newly grant at $1,000 to Spade and Newly grant match at $3,000, an increase of $2,000 to reflect grant match approved by court from 5/10/22. Delete expenditure code 046105-730, special road project, co-impact funds with budget funds $64,202 from the budget. Co-impact funds have been fully expended. Change revenue code 044901, prior year carryover from $65,903 to $1,701, a decrease of $64,202 to reflect fully expended co-impact funds and anticipate LGA carryover. Solid waste, delete expenditure code 135217-446, 2021-2022 Kentucky Pride Fund recycling at $751 from the budget. Grant fees have been expended in full. Add expenditure code 1357-17-446, 22-23 Kentucky Pride Fund and Recycling Grant at $3472 to reflect the new recycling grant for 22-23. The next item is change revenue code 134510, state grant from $4,000 to $7472, an increase of $3472 to reflect the new 22-23 Kentucky Pride Fund Recycling Grant. Next item is remove expenditure code 135212-366A. 2022 waste tire grant of $3209 from the budget. Grant has been expenditure in full. The next item is change expenditure code 135212-366B. And 2023 waste tire grant to 135212-366A. All funds Just continued appropriation transfers in, transfers out. Fund subtotals and fund totals were necessary to balance budget for fiscal year 22-23. And y'all know that gas prices are going up. So I went through the budget yesterday and kind of made some adjustments to fuel costs. I don't think we got much choice there with the price of gas. And I just want to run this by you, and you can, but at the sheriff's office, instead of 115,000, I put 130 due to that. Now these haven't been changed yet, but corner vehicle fuel, she just had 800, and I raised that to, I'm thinking about raising that to 1,000. Road fund from 95 to 100,000, we did put just a little bit more in there. The jail, fuel from 11,000 to $13,200. The solid waste, fuel from 2,000 to 2,500. Litter and abatement from 3,000 to 4,000. The recycling recycling part, the vehicle fuel, we had 4,000. I thought we better raise that to 5 due to fuel cost. And then it looked like vehicle fuel for the 911 service, we had 3,800, and I think we need to raise that to 5,000. So if y'all want to approve that along with the budget changes, I can give those numbers to Karen.
So moved.
Second. Judge put him to sleep on all that, but I guess what we voted on a while ago was 146. You want to put that in there too? We ain't gonna talk about that now. All right.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Questions? Okay, let's have a roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Call,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, the next item of business is talking about earthquake insurance. Last year we paid $23,858. I think we got either $20 or $25,000 worth of coverage for that amount. You see the two options down below there. We got 20 million with $25 previous purchase. They're offering 15 million, $25,000 deductible for $37,500, or the option of 5 million with 1% loss, or $50,000 max minimum deductible for $26,462. And y'all remember Rob Williams? I talked to Rob Williams. He recommended to his county that they just go under the umbrella of CAECO, for the coverage, and the CAECO is supposed to have $100 million worth of coverage.
How much does that cost us?
What is that? That don't cost us anything else. But we got a decision to make here, whether we want to do that. Now, if 123 counties have disruption, there won't be but about $1 million per county, if it leaves that much.
It's expensive till you need it. So we're under the 125 million.
We're under the 100 million.
100 million.
I thought I read 125.
It's shared across all counties, right?
Yeah, it's 125 million shared.
125 million.
Yeah.
So like I said, about $1 million county, everything.
But I read the Justice Center splits that with us right there.
Oh,
This cost was split 50-50. Is that our part, or do we pay for half of that part?
What's that now?
It says the Justice Center splits this with us.
The Justice Center's got, usually pay 50% of the coverage.
So it would cost us half of $37,500.
Yeah. But that's a heck of an increase over 23,858. That we had on 20 million versus 15 million.
Yeah.
Woo. Yep. Either one or we don't. I don't. If we do the options, I wouldn't want to do the 5.
No.
You know when this policy runs out?
It'll run out at the end of the fiscal year.
I just didn't know if it was time, I mean, could we table this to next court meeting? Let's see, wait a minute, we'll have one next court meeting.
Yeah.
So can we table this to next court meeting and reach out to like our other agent there, David Clark, and see if he can place this coverage? It'd be at least worth knowing is this what the market is doing. You know, if you don't ask one other person, at least quote, might try to find you quotes.
Well, I don't think we got we got enough in the budget if we do carry it. You know, one moment, I don't think we got enough.
Well, let's table that and let's reach out to David at Moore's and see what he could place $20 million coverage for with a $25,000 deductible, or even a higher deductible. I don't mind going to a $200,000 deductible. I mean, if you have a $20 million loss, we've got a $200,000. We got $1 million. You know, I'd much rather see us have a $1 million, $2 million deductible. I mean, we're talking about catastrophic coverage.
Well, you know, back when we checked on that before, it didn't make that much difference in the cost.
We did that once before, and it didn't make any difference in cost. That's right. So, but let's table that and make a decision next court meeting. Is that all right?
Yep.
You don't need a motion.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we table this and see other quotes.
Second. Okay.
Was he in there?
Who'd she give it to?
I don't know. I feel bad for one like that.
Who'd you give it to? Good. Beat you.
Oh, Callie. Beating up on you because of your age. I think that's what it is. That's child discrimination.
Let's have one.
I've been glasses.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes. Okay, y'all got a copy of the administrative code, the last court meeting. Did you look through it?
Was it a PDF?
No, it was physical copy.
You know,
You ready? I watched the movie.
Judge, was there any, I didn't bring mine, was there any noted changes that you presented us? Was there any changes on that one? None whatsoever? I know of none. Joe, do you know of anything? Okay.
Typically, we have a kind of a running list that we'll put together. And thankfully, the only things that came up were kind of temporary things that were gone away.
Make a motion, we approve the administrative code as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the administrative code for the upcoming year. Any questions? If not, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Hicks.
Yeah. Okay, next item of business, something came in a little bit late, and this will be a change in the contract with Crosspath Telecom Network, adding a phone line for information technology director.
Make a motion to approve adding the line for the technology director, total of $55.
Second.
of course, it could be some kind of a fee on the cable.
Also any additional fees that may incur getting the line added.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any questions? Okay, look at roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes. Okay, post agenda.
I make a motion, we go home.
No, I got something, sorry.
We're gonna be here a while.
When that horn goes off, when that bell goes off.
Yeah, so first thing I would like to see if we can get.
First thing, does that mean you got more than one?
I got two things, but they're easy. Can we get, as a professional service, somebody to come to the courthouse and present to us what we need to do to make this room, the air work well in this room? Can we get somebody to, HVAC, as a professional service to come and just tell us what we need to do? We have events here and it's, something's not right, so.
Oh, we can
Can we do that? Okay.
We can check.
All right. So another thing I had is that I'm going to work with the new IT guy to get us some quotes on a permanent solution for our YouTube stream that I've been doing since COVID. So since COVID, I've been doing the YouTube stream where people can watch the court meetings, and people still are wanting us to do that. But now we have an IT guy. I was going to work with him to get some quotes on having a permanent solution.
I'm not following this.
Not for that, we've already.
Tyler's been doing that for a year and a
half.
We've hired an IT guy.
All you gotta do is call him.
Okay.
He's gonna take over that.
He done the engineering on it.
Since he's a county employee, instead of
You know what I'm
Tyler.
saying? There's something wrong with it.
You're talking about
So
hiring.
you don't have to.
Well, we got an IT person now, so.
Yeah.
He's
What does
he's
he
like an
do in the
engineer,
meeting?
he's
What's
like
that
an
guy do in the
architect,
meeting?
but he only
He
does
works on everybody's
HVAC.
computer problems.
And he did this.
Computers, printers,
when we
phone
did this
lines,
system,
internet.
he did-
Anywhere in the county.
Yeah.
Okay. He know it then.
Are we gonna just talk about this?
No, let's do that. So, y'all okay with me and him getting some quotes on that permanent solution? Okay. Well, I guess we need a motion for that, right? I was
Get quotes for what?
me and Scott to get some quotes on a permanent solution for the YouTube Live.
He said,
I've been using my stuff since COVID. So like I said, now we got an IT person, we can get him to do that.
You know what the cost of it will be?
It'll be over $1,000, under $5,000. Maybe not even $1,000. But we'll just get some quotes.
And I guess that can come out of courthouse renewal,
So we'll just do that, and we'll present it next court meeting or the next. Take care of that. And then I think Jason's got something we've been working on too.
Something me and Tyler's talked about, and it's been talked about for years, but I reached out to the Kentucky Department of Agricultural Division of Environmental Services and just had a conversation with the main dude up there about if they had the ability to give us a sprayer like they had done with other counties, and he said yes, they had 4 sprayers available, or farmers. And he said that, which I got a copy of the contract with, they do this with, I think, 8 or 10 other fiscal courts, and just like anybody else, they want to pass the buck on to the counties for them to do this to save them money, but they can't find any employees. So if we wanted mosquito spraying now, we'd be on the back burner, and it would be fall before we wouldn't even need to spray by the time they would get here. So anyway, that equipment's available to us at no cost. We would only be responsible for just routine maintenance, but other than that, we wouldn't be responsible for anything.
Just staffing to do.
Just staffing, and they have classes. They've got like a 2-hour class twice a month in Bowling Green. So as soon as, if the court decided this year or next year or whenever to do it, it's available. Right now, there's 4 machines available, and that don't mean they're available in 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we definitely talked about, and we need to, I think, do it more than what we've been doing to help with mosquitoes this time of year, so.
But if we did do it, then we would have to,
We could pay for the training, whatever, pay for them to have to get the spraying license, and then.
Well, you'd have to have somebody to do it.
Right, we would work with Kelly and see if we can get somebody to work second shift and pay them the second shift differential 2 or 3 times throughout the year.
one of my biggest concerns would be it would need to be on an actual schedule.
Yeah.
And that way we know, if we do it, we know it's this, instead of somebody calling and saying, hey, we're having a family reunion.
No,
there's
we
only
ain't-
200
we
people
can't
out
do that.
there.
You gotta be somewhat careful. You gotta know what you're doing, because you just can't drive down the road and
Well, they do that training, and that training teaches the people when to spray. You spray at night because bees are in and they're not pollinating at night. And I mean, that's what that training is for.
you don't want to kill somebody's honeybees.
No.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to be a licensed
My
applicator.
head, so you give me my honeybees now.
Yeah, I seen you out there.
They're gonna be a licensed applicator, because I
Yeah.
had one I was licensed for 30 years or more. Spraying tobacco and everything, see, we just do custom spray.
There's classes twice a month in Bowling Green, and it's free. The state puts it on. But yeah, I mean, labor is probably the biggest obstacle right now.
Oh, we're gonna hire another employee?
It wouldn't, no, we would just, somebody at the road department, we just work with Kelly and see if somebody would, you know, when we do this,
Well, he says he's short out there now.
well, they would be doing it on the evening shift, so they would get $1 more an hour on the, as far as, you know, that's the only extra cost would be for us, but somebody would be able to make more money during that time.
So what do you want to do? Do you want to give this to Joe and tell him?
Yeah, we can let Joe look at it, and then, I mean, is that something y'all are wanting to do, or not? I mean, we talked about before, it seemed like everybody was kind of wanting to do something, but we wanted to have more of a contract or something in place. I'm with Jason, I think we ought to do it, you know, like, set up.
It has to be a schedule, and if somebody calls you and says, hey, we're having a barbecue down here.
Well,
and there's-
I really don't know how you schedule it, because you don't never know when mosquitoes are gonna be bad and when they're not.
Well, I mean, you have to play that part by ear, but it's not gonna be, you're gonna go to Susie's house today, and it needs to be by district or by route. I mean, not every road gets it. We know where the problems are in each of our districts that we have sprayed in the past, but it's gonna eliminate us from riding around at midnight and not know when they're coming. We don't have to.
Well, Joe's gonna look over the contract, and we can talk about it next meeting.
Yeah, because I think Barry was going to be here.
Yeah,
Barry's kind of headed it up for years,
Yeah.
and he knows all the people.
Yeah.
I'm sure that he would want some input on it.
Okay, we can talk about it.
All right, the last thing I had is Ray, the Humane Society director. He couldn't be here because his wife's in labor, so he dropped this off right before the meeting. Just briefly run over it. Beginning shelter count 76 animals. They had a lot of adoptions and placements, so a 95.59% live release rate. The target's 90%, so the Humane Society is way above that. And then the in-shelter count's 118, so it's that time of year where the shelter's filling back up. So they're having some adoption things going on, some free adoptions and stuff. And then this Saturday is going to be the big fundraiser that we had 2 winters ago, where Jordan's Way comes. He raised like $8,400 last year, and he's expecting it to double this year. So that's going to be a good fundraiser for us. It'll be on Facebook Live, and there'll be ways to donate to it.
Is this the thing where I go
that.
I'll be there.
On that other, we'll have to wait and see if it can happen, because we didn't include that in the road fund budget. And we'll have to see we'll have to figure out how you can pay for it.
I don't think it's gonna cost that much.
I mean, do you think it'll cost
Well-
$3,000 extra dollars, or what?
Maybe.
Well, fuel and labor, I mean.
It depends on how long it takes to do the spraying, and depends on how many times we do it. So if we do it 3 times a year, and if it takes somebody,
3 shifts.
3 shifts or a week, let's say it took them a week to to spray the whole area 3 times, and I can come up with a figure, it would not be that much money.
Are y'all through? I'll make a motion to go home.
Second.
Okay, let's have a roll call.
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Baldwin,
Yes.